Welcome to Table Flippers Podcast, ministry of Greater Worship Christian Church here in Lancaster, California. I am your host, Apostle Robert Enos. Here we will talk about doctrine and theology, politics, social and cultural issues, and how the church is to respond and face these issues. Get ready for a large dose of truth and get ready to have your tables flipped. As a friend just told me recently, Table Flippers is flipping awesome. We just arrived back in town yesterday. It was pretty late, about midnight our time here. We were at AmFest, America Fest 2022, put on by Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's association. It was a phenomenal event. There was well over 10,000 people there, and what was so exciting is about half of them were college age, young people, on fire for this country, on fire for this nation, patriots. Many of them Christian, but not all of them. And what was interesting is there was some people from even other nations at an America Fest, a patriotic event for the United States of America. So it captured even the attention of people outside of the country. And there was politicians, there was Congress people, there was country music stars. I believe it was Jason Aldean and his wife was there. There was worship leaders like Sean Foytz, is that how you say his name? And Kim Walker was there leading worship and others. So this was a vast array of people from all walks of life, all races, even people outside of the nation, all over our country was at AmFest. And it was so exciting to see that America is waking up. This is your host, Robert Enos of Table Flippers Podcast. I have a spectacular, wonderful guest today in the studio, my very own daughter, Destiny, who works for Turning Point Academy. And I'm going to turn it over to Destiny so she can share with you what she does, what Turning Point does, what Turning Point Academy does, what their vision is and what their goals are. And you're going to be excited. If you love this country, you're going to be excited to hear not only what she has to say, but what's going on in our country today and how America is waking up. Destiny?
Yeah, so like he said, my name is Destiny. I'm 25 years old, working now for Turning Point USA. I started there this year, January 2022. I started originally as Campus Victory, which is we went into schools and helped different college students come in and run for class president or class vice president into the Senate. It was amazing. I ended up transferring over to this new department that they just launched August 1st, 2022, called Turning Point Academy. And what we do is we are not a school, like a brick and mortar school. We are a movement. What we do is we go into churches and plant 5C schools, which that's classical, Christian, cost affordable, church-based, and conservative. So we go in and help churches get started in the homeschooling process, in charter school processes, in homeschooling pods. We do our best to really help everyone take back American education. So it looks differently for everyone. We're not a one-size-fits-all. We go into churches, we go help provide resources for homeschool families and homeschool parents. We help provide trainings, like during AmFest, we had our Educators Summit, which was absolutely incredible. We had about 400 to 500 signups of educators just wanting to come in and really make a difference. And we had amazing speakers just explaining how they can get involved, how we can make a difference, how we can change as parents, as individuals, as schools, as church leaders. Absolutely incredible. We also provide a lot of resources for homeschool families or schools that are trying to get started up. We have curriculum that is curated and brought together. We have something called the Constitution Kit, which is absolutely incredible. It's geared towards elementary school for about 30 kids, and it just breaks down what really the Constitution is and what the history is, because I even remember for myself growing up at a Christian private school, I don't remember ever being taught the Constitution. We knew kind of what it was, but it was never something that we ever dove into. So super incredible to see what we're curating and coming up with and ways that we can really get involved in children, with parents, and bringing everybody together. We also have an association, which that is where we really link arms with like-minded individuals across the nation, whether that be schools that are already planted, whether that be schools that are trying to get started, homeschool moms. Again, we just have a forum. We have a group that gets together and really is able to encourage each other, because sometimes it's so hard for people to really feel like they're not alone. So we're doing our best to band together and link arms with everybody so that we can really make a difference in the educational system.
That truly is exciting, and I'd really appreciate what Turning Point Academy is doing. My church, we are not just looking into it, but we are working on getting our school launched and get our people educated. And I really am very proud of my daughter, Destiny, who at such a young age has taken this upon herself and worked so hard with Turning Point to do these types of things, to bring about a real world change. Not just talk about it, but real world change in our nation, in our country. And they're going even, it's funny, we have the homosexual agenda that literally is targeting our children. They make no qualms about it. They even sing songs about it from the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, talking about in their music how they are going after our children. The LGBT community is going after our children with Drag Queen Hour for Children, reading to them men dressed like hookers on the streets, saying that it's a healthy thing to read to our children and teach them about transgender issues. Is sick. So they are targeting our children for perversion. Now, TP Academy is targeting our children for righteousness. And that's what we should be targeting our children for worldwide: righteousness, wholeness. And in our case, with patriotism, the United States of America, yes, Christianity, but also the Constitution. Many people just simply don't know what's in the Constitution, or they know just enough that it could be twisted by certain people, even politicians, to make it sound like it's something negative or bad. Like the Second Amendment. There's a reason why we have in our Second Amendment the right to bear arms, that every citizen of the United States has the constitutional right to not only own a weapon, but to carry it. That's the Constitution. And there's a reason why. Because it's the Second Amendment that protects every other amendment. You take that one away, we lose all of them. And so when we start learning these things, learning why our founding fathers put that in the Constitution, then we start to realize how brilliant not only they were, but what a phenomenal country that we're in. So, Destiny, I think you're doing a fantastic job with setting these schools up and training people, just simply training people about who we are as a nation, who we are, or supposed to be, I should say, as a nation and as a people. So I want to ask you this question. What is your opinion? What do you see? When you look at your age group, what are some of the biggest problems that you see with people, say between 20 and 30 years old, that age group, right there, you're 25, you're right in the middle. What is the biggest issues and problems that you see with your age group? And a follow-up question is, what do you think we can do to fix that issue or that problem that you see?
I feel like that's a really loaded question, because I feel like the very things that make me excited about my generation are the very things that also disappoint me in my generation, is that we are very, very, very passionate people. But I think a lot of people my age don't really understand what they are passionate about. They never really got an education, and they don't really know what they're fighting for. They just see everybody else get amped up, so they want to get amped up. They want to be passionate about something, and as human beings, we all have a desire to be passionate about something. We all want to have hope for something. And I think, the left has been so good about using their words and getting people my age to be amped up and passionate about things. But the left has done such a good job of infiltrating the education system and not really educating them on what's really going on, or the actions of what's going to be taking place after they fight for all of these different policies and all of these different things. it's really disappointing and heartbreaking, but at the same time, super encouraging, especially after something like AmFest, to be able to see a group of people that aren't being silent, that are willing to step out, that are willing to come together and band together from literally all over the nation. And like my dad said, even people outside of the country are seeing what's going on and, coming out and banding together with us. And it's incredible to see that. I think something that we need to do in order to change is to continue to educate, to continue to speak out. I think far too long has the conservative Republican Party been quiet. They need to begin to really start educating their children and educating themselves on what this country was founded on, what we really believe. I think that Turning Point Academy is doing an amazing job of doing that and starting the kids young. Going to the Bible, it talks about how even if you make a child stumble, you might as well have a millstone tied around your neck and be thrown into the ocean. And I don't know about you, but I would not want to be under that kind of judgment. I believe that Academy is doing an amazing job of really coming in and teaching God, teaching the Constitution, teaching history, and bringing school back to what it was originally for. Schools shouldn't have a right to be talking about gender or sex. There's no reason for that. If that's something that the parents want to teach, you know what, that's their freedom, that's their right. However, in school it should be taught. I think history should be taught in a timeline of cause and effect of how this country got founded and go on from there. And even before then, a lot of times we want to go in and change things up and not teach the bad things. But I don't know if you've ever seen that guy who goes around on Instagram and he goes and videos people in college asking them who the first president of the United States was, and people can't even answer that. And so I think going back to the classical education, to go back to really how history was taught and science should be taught, and even math, everything should come back to what it was originally intended for. There's absolutely no reason that we need to be talking about it's okay to change your gender, or if you feel like you like boys, that's okay, and you don't have to tell mom and dad. That's absolutely insane. The parents need to be involved. The parents need to know what their kids are being taught, and if that's something that they're being taught or something that they want their child to be taught, do that on your own time. That's not for public school education. So something I'm super excited about, and going back to your question of what can we do to make these changes happen, is, continue to educate yourself, continue to read into the history. There's a lot of things that even I'm learning right now, and I feel like I got a pretty decent education, but also there's still things that I'm learning right now that I had no idea. So continuing to educate yourselves, continuing to really dive in and go back to how it used to be of you teaching your kids and you really diving in and being a part of what they're learning and being educated on.
Well, I agree with you, Destiny. And as your father, I know that's a miracle that we actually agree upon something. But nonetheless, I agree with you. I think our whole educational system, I know our whole educational system, especially the public school system, needs a radical overhaul. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is to raise up some people. Hopefully they're already here and at that age and place where they can step in and start fixing things now. But if not, let's train up and raise up some people and start getting them even into the public school system to fix the public school system. There's things that are being taught. Actually, there's not really a lot of teaching going on in our public school system. It's more about indoctrination. And if you people don't understand that, our children in our public school systems are not being taught to be truly productive members of society. They're being indoctrinated. They're being indoctrinated so that in the near future, and even sometimes in the immediate future, but in the near future, they'll be used by somebody that got in there with some perverted idea. That's why a lot of these things are being taught. Our children are not being taught sex education the way you and I were taught it back in the 70s and 80s. They're being groomed by perverts and pedophiles so that these perverts and pedophiles will have this whole new crop of people to pull from for their perversion. And if you don't believe me, just look into what's being taught in the name of sexual education to our children and who's teaching them. And so Turning Point Academy and people like my daughter are working hard to establish a righteous, wholesome education for the children of this nation. And that's why I believe every school, every mother, father, grandparent, every church, synagogue, we all need to get behind this and start teaching our children correctly, being that buffer. I know it shouldn't. Listen, I'm a pastor of a church. And when I think of now, I have to be responsible for even the so-called secular education of the children in my church. Why? Well, it shouldn't come down to that, but it has. So guess what? It's my responsibility, and especially you pastors, you Christians, moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, priests, rabbis, it's our job to step in, rise up, and say enough's enough, and not just stand against this tide of wickedness, but to now provide a healthy, wholesome alternative to the nonsense that's already out there, so that we can establish something righteous in the next generation and generations to come. So I believe that Charlie Kirk with Turning Point Academy, people like my daughter and the team that she works on, they're doing a phenomenal job in really not just getting the word out and sounding the alarm, but providing real-world answers to these situations. So Destiny, why don't you just wrap it up with any last comments that you might have. And ladies and gentlemen, this won't be the last time that Destiny is on this podcast. She has a lot of wisdom. They're doing a lot of great things, and I want her to talk about them and share with you. But Destiny, just share with the people any last comments or ideas or something you just want to leave the people with.
Well, I think the last thing that was coming to mind as you were talking about the indoctrination of the children, I had this very interesting conversation with a public school teacher. She decided to no longer teach within the public school because they were going through some training, and I'm trying to remember the word. I can't remember the word, but basically what it was saying was that they are lessening the definition of what a male and female person is. And it just clicked in my brain it's not just indoctrinating our children. We are indoctrinating, or not we, but they're indoctrinating the teachers as well. And she was saying that the wording that they were using didn't even make sense, in the sense of they were using words that were not common. So a lot of times what they're doing is they're using words that you don't understand, so you kind of just pass by it and not think anything of it. Luckily, she was smart enough to really dive into what they were trying to say. And again, it was teaching the children, and I believe she taught third grade, teaching third graders to lessen the definition of male and female. And that is absolutely insane to me. So the reason I wanted to share that is to make sure that even you as adults are really diving in and reading what is being taught out there. Because if there's any question about it, if there's anything that makes you think, oh, I don't know what that means, look into it. Look into what you're reading. Look into what's really being taught, because sometimes people blow it off, and I know I'm guilty of this myself, is I blow things off because I think I understand what it's saying, but in all reality, they make it to where I don't understand, and I'm teaching something that I don't truly understand that what I'm even teaching, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense. One of the tactics of people with that kind of mindset, wicked people, is they try to make everybody else feel dumb, and they try to make everybody think that they are the smartest person in the room because they know these big 50-cent words. And in their case, they're making up words. Literally, they're making up words. Because, come on, anybody, I'm 56 years old. And, growing up, I didn't hear such words as homophobia. And there was a reason why I didn't hear that word ever. Because it wasn't made up yet. Xenophobe, again, that wasn't made up yet. Just the other day, I was having a little bit of a debate with somebody who was a vegan. and they were trying to tell me how eating meat was so wicked and evil and everything like that. And they actually called me a speciesist. I mean, literally, they called me a speciesist. Again, when I was a kid, I never heard that word because it had not been made up yet. And please, just because they throw out a word that you don't know doesn't make them smart. I remember when I was a little kid, we used to make up words too. You know, we were always superdy-duperdy good. We had words like that. Well, we completely made them up. Just because I can throw a bunch of words together and mishmash it together into one single word doesn't make me the smartest kid on the block. It just means that I'm a little creative and I can say words that you don't know. It makes me look smart. Well, that's the tactic of a 5-year-old, and that's what the left does. They use the tactics of playground bullies, and they just do it with a smile on their face, and they talk about words, and they use words like social justice. And we're supposed to back off because if we go against their social justice, we're the ones that are unjust. Just like the word homophobe. Again, it's made up from 2 words. Homo, where they point out homosexuality, phobia, fear. So you have a fear of homosexuals because you're a homophobe. I'm not afraid of them, and I don't think any of you are. If we see homosexuals come down the street, we don't go running and panic like we just saw a rabid Rottweiler. That's stupid, and it's foolish, and you shouldn't fall for it, ladies and gentlemen. Stand up against their nonsense, stand up against their foolishness, and tell them to actually go get a real-world dictionary and learn some real-world words. I don't care if they're educators. It's funny and strange in our society where a lot of these so-called educators are the ones that are the most foolish and ignorant, and they have to make up words that don't even exist and redefine everything and try to redefine the language so that they can fool people into us backing down and giving them free rein to indoctrinate our children. So, Destiny, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I think Turning Point Academy is doing a fantastic job. Turning Point in general is doing a spectacular job. You guys are all phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for you. So if you want to say goodbye and sign off to all your fans out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to see what Turning Point continues to do, not even just through Academy, but through all of the departments that they're working with, the faith department, the high school department, the college department. You know, they're really diving in there. So super excited to continue to work with them and see all of the change that they continue to make.
Well, once again, I think you all are doing a spectacular job. Ladies and gentlemen, we're signing off. You all have a fantastic day.
Merry Christmas.
Hello, fellow table flippers. I have some exciting news. Table Flippers is now selling merchandise, table flipping merchandise. You can find our merchandise at tableflipperspodcast.com, tableflipperspodcast.com, and if you put freedom in the promo code area, you'll get 10% off. That's exciting news. Freedom, because that's what we're all about. Freedom as the promo code. So I hope to see you soon, and I hope that you get some of this exciting merchandise so that we can all look cool together. We will be flipping awesome. Thank you for joining us at Table Flippers Podcast. I'd really love to hear from you. Please look us up on the web at www.gwcclancaster.org. That's gwcclancaster.org. Or you can email me at gwccrobert@gmail.com. I'd really love to hear from you. Please let us know how we're doing. Keep all those comments coming. Until next time, you all have a great and a blessed day.